Hello again, welcome to my channel for Evolved Humans. I am Ms. Day. This immediately, as soon as I lay out the cards for this one, it feels like you need, maybe you already have recently, maybe you've already done that even just in the last 6 months, but it feels like you need the feminine because I feel like you've already accepted in the light, and I feel you have this is a huge masculine presence, and that is a very informed presence is what I mean right now. And it's like all of the information, as you process it, I feel like you have emotions about information, which is a very obvious thing. But what I mean is, it's like I think that as you learn, that is your emotional fulfillment. I get that. It's like the neat thing here is your reading, this whole reading is so positive, and it almost seems like you found your way, kind of, this is going to sound really rude, but I almost feel like the past you was trying to connive or weasel your way through situations. It's just that way in the reading. But I feel like you literally did that by accidentally following lower level signs. And I think that there's a need for the feminine for some of you. I don't know if this has not happened for you, but when I say there's a need for the feminine, it's like there's a need for emotional fullness. There's a need for emotional processing or awareness or something there, because all of this is such a large presence of an informed person. I think even ahead of other people, maybe even at your job, whatever it is that you do, maybe you're really, really good at it because you are it seems to light you up when you get to learn. And I think that healing has a lot to do with this one. So there might be a pocket of, if you actually do the energy light work, which I think so, you have a past of, I think, following a lower level path. And it seems like you literally got yourself through it with nature. I think that all the signs, as you sort of grew yourself through negative, I think that you were kind of just nestled along the way, and by nature. How interesting, because it feels like you need the feminine, but I think that Earth is feminine, and you connect by what you can see. That's why I think nature has gotten your attention so much, because when you started listening outside of, I think, what you kind of followed for a while, you found your way out, and I think it's because you were being drawn out of it. So the need for the feminine, I think that you need to take some time to emotionally, I had this note. It's like I'm picturing in your head, when you wake up, it's literally a new day. So when the sun comes up, You want your new opportunity, which is for you. Like, it's natural for you to wake up with the sun. I don't know what your schedule is, but, or even if you get sunlight wherever you are, but like, in your mind, you want it to be fresh. And it's like, in order for that to be a fresh thing, you have to release the stuff from the dark, like the negative, heavier stuff that doesn't look so bright and new, because that's how you make room for the new. And this seems like something you do every day already, whether you realize it or not, or you need to. But I feel like you were led out of the dark by your connection to nature, and it seems like your emotional presence needs to spread. I also was hearing in my head before this started, don't be so emotional, and somebody said, like, I heard this little moment of crying makes me a baby. I don't know if this is like from an experience from someone else, or if it's just you kind of having that tone set in your own mind. But the more awakened you are, the more emotional you become, because our way of processing is larger if emotions are a part of the processing. And this is like a reading for someone who's a full process, and I feel that you built it on your own. And I even am thinking, it feels like you had the opportunity to go one way, and you were guided in another direction. If you're doubting that, like, I feel like this is a confirmation that it was a sign that made you change direction. And if not, change direction. Like, if you're getting a little hint of it, that's what this reading even feels like. It's kind of like the information is just slowly opening up. So a need for the feminine, if you've been getting ear ringing in your left ear, that's a need for the feminine. Like, for the emotional processing, something needs to move, or something needs to feel secure emotionally. Because oftentimes it's like if you're vulnerable for a long time and nothing fulfills that vulnerability, or nothing kind of makes it feel like it's okay, you're safe here, like to be here and to be what you are and who you are. It feels like something that, why is my focus being interrupted? My focus is being constantly interrupted throughout this whole reading. What is this feeling? It's like a lower level feeling trying to get in. That is not what it is when emotions get in. When emotions need to be processed, you know what else I'm thinking about? Okay, when I say feminine, listen, it's not hair and makeup. Like, when I say feminine, I'm talking emotional processing. Because if you don't do that, then you don't process fully stuff. So, like, this is necessary. It is not a yucky, low level. It's not weakness. You know, the negative, it comes and sits where it has a place to be, where it's comfortable. So if you're like asking, if I feel that you have an opportunity to build something very supported, very encouraged, guided to even, and it's like, why then would you not take this is it's a high level sign. When you need to process emotions, it's not low level trying to bring you down. It's trying to help you to get rid of things that hold you back. Whoever you are, you get signs, and it's almost like you're not sure if you can trust them, but I think you can trust your judgment. It's like you have it's like the strength that you have at all was because you were not alone. It was because you sort of trusted your intuition in moments where maybe that was a bit off. And that was the whole point, is that it took you off that same path. It's hard to hear. I was thinking that. It's like we do readings all over the place, all over. And I was just talking to someone about that today, and that's kind of what it seems like. It's like if you're going through this process of interacting with your intuition and you're doing it in a more open way, then take the guidance, because the earth is trying to help us so that we can kind of we can understand how we interpret it, and the emotions are a part of how we interpret it. Like, the more you open up to information, that's insane. This started with in you learning stuff, making like that is you emotionally processing. I feel like it lights you up to learn. I don't know if you have had this moment or if you're going to have this moment. Ask to have this moment, because you need the feminine. Like, if this reading, if anything in here feels like it's for you, I feel that you attach yourself to nature, like you find your comfort zone in nature. Out in nature. Birds, trees, dirt, like all of it. All the different skies. And I feel like you don't feel like you're alone when you're out there. You know? If you can have a spiritual experience, it's emotional. You couldn't accept it as something special if you didn't feel emotional about it. So I feel like that's what you need to be taking into this step. You have like the sculptings of something right in front of you to put together something. And this is so supportive, and it's like there's only one thing that still tries to nag. And it's like you have to just recognize that you have a hypersensitive awareness of that nag, so that you can shut it off to kind of entering in your view all of the time. When you need to know if it's there, great. You'll know. Like, you'll recognize it quickly. But it feels like you've built yourself from what you walked through. And since you've built yourself up from that, and you've created your own independent self based on what you decided to leave behind and where you went, like how you decided to go along your way, this feels like you need to trust your judgment, but also trust that you're not alone, and that there's a reason that you were guided in such like conspicuous little sneaky ways. Also, we saw an eagle today. Like I saw an eagle and it was so neat because we saw it flying right over a lake that's attached to a park with a zoo in it. And it has two bald eagles in it, which are injured, so they don't fly at this zoo. And so my kids and I were there today because it's super snowy. And it was snowing and it was just beautiful. And we saw this bird just like flying and then landed at the top of a tree. And I take things like that as signs, and I feel like this is making me think of that. Where like you have seen things like that and maybe even deemed them silly, but you took it anyway. That's it. You may think you don't emotionally connect already, but you do. How interesting. So it's like you have to be able to see that you're doing that in order to open your view a little bit more to what you're supposed to be doing individually. And supposed to be means it aligns with you just right, somehow, some way, in all the ways. And so does the emotional processing. Like you wouldn't get nudges to do stuff if it wasn't for your good. This feels like you need to trust this guidance that you get. And to shut that off, you just have to consciously ask for help shutting it off. Like I feel like you're already fluent in intuition. So let it just kind of, let yourself open up your own voice on that end, on your end of that interaction. And ask for the help you need, because that's what it seems like. You're just hyper aware of that level. When you're hyper aware of it and you don't decide what channel to zone in on, sometimes you can forget there's one open. Like that's how I feel about it. I feel like this seems like when I'm not open to that level. Like I'm open to knowing if it's there, but it's only in the moments where I kind of want to do a scan. It feels like you're very earthy, and you need to emotionally accept that that is your intuitive side in itself. How interesting. Also, the feminine in this one feels strong. Isn't that odd? It's like you're not even aware of how strong your own feminine has become. Emotional endurance builds feminine. Like when you can process emotional information, that means your feminine is active. But can you put it into what you do? Like, can you create something with it? Because I feel like that's the message maybe, is to like your emotional perception is actually very aligned with reality. Like you're good at it. So let that encompass whatever it is you're doing. One more thing that I feel like is important. If you can betray your own self with your own self-doubt or like thoughts of doubt or paranoia or worry, concern, like over something, that will go away with, in conjunction with you closing the door to the low level at all times. Like the thoughts, that's how we perceive what level is around us. So if there are kind of like lower level thoughts you have in your mind that you're not entirely sure why, or even you just feel like it drags your attitude down, maybe if you start to dissect those, that's how you can sort of close it. It's like you have to be your own guide now, at least in there. Like you have to do that along the way. Nature can't do that for you. They can just tell you to look in there, but it's your decision what you do with it. So it's good guidance to be told, go inside. It's like, oh, okay, that's where I can do something. And don't we all want to just control what it is we have control of instead of trying to control the things we don't have, we can't. Okay, we got there. Interesting. What a weird reading. I'm going to definitely leave it at that. I hope it's helpful. Let me know in the comments. This is an interesting one. Subscribe if you feel like they resonate, and I will see you in the next reading. All right, bye.